The real estate market is ending the peak part of 2023. So what's going to happen in the next few months? Should you buy or sell? The big problem right now is that there is a significant historic shortage of houses on the market, unlike anything I have ever seen before. We might be seeing a shift coming in the real estate market. I'll tell you what I think is going to happen in the next few months, and should you buy or sell in Hampton Roads going into the summer and fall season. Coming up. Hey, my name is Sam Sansalone, and I'm a real estate agent in the Hampton Roads area. That includes Virginia Beach, and it goes through Williamsburg, and I do videos every week about living and moving to the area. So several months ago, I was talking to you about my predictions for what would happen in the spring into the early summer time period in the real estate market in Virginia Beach. I think the median sales price will increase, I'm going to say around 9%. So we'll use that as an example for the number, 9% higher than what it was previously before the end of the year. Well, that 9% brings you to a $430,000 purchase price. I was close, but not exactly right. I guess 9%. We're just under 8% right now, which appears to be the top, getting close to the top of the median sales prices in the spring into the early summer time period. So I think we're about to see a turnaround, a drop in that median sales price going into the summertime. Well, last year, prices were still coming up pretty quickly because interest rates were so low. As we got into the summer months, those interest rates shot up a lot, and it kind of stalled out the rapid growth of the pricing in the area. Now, coming into this year, you notice that the prices still went up. They went up almost what I was expecting, but they didn't go up as high as I was thinking. And I think the reason that is the case is because interest rates have been staying higher than what I was expecting them to be going into the summer months as well. I was thinking maybe about 1% lower in that range. They actually have hovered around that 7% range for a lot longer than I had originally expected several months ago. What does that mean? It means that fewer people can afford the higher prices as they go up because the interest rates are causing them to afford less house for the money. And the amount of houses on the market right now is staggering. This is the lowest I've seen, I think, ever. I've been in the real estate market 17 years. I've not seen it this low. And even last year and the year before that, when they were quote unquote historic low house in the market numbers, we are way lower than that. My reasoning that this is happening is because the people that have to move are moving, but the people that may or may not want to move are often choosing not to because they don't want to sell that 3% interest rate that they got 2 or 3 years or 4 years ago and buy into the same market with a 7% interest rate because they don't know what's going to come around the pike. They don't know if they can refinance in a few months and get a lower rate. And that's a valid concern. So what happens? People don't sell, and it makes the supply of houses go further and further down. What does that do? It makes the prices still continue to increase, even though the interest rates have been higher than what we all may have expected. But if you notice on that graphic, the month supply of inventory between now, this current year, and last year, the same time period, has actually gone up compared to the last year, which is interesting because the amount of houses, new listings now compared to last year has actually gone down. So how does that happen? What it means is that the demand has still decreased, even though there are fewer houses to choose from because there are fewer people that can buy these houses. But you're still seeing houses aren't taking very long to sell. You're seeing look at that number, average percent of listing price received is still over 100%. So that's an average of over asking price. So if you've got a $500,000 house and it sells on average 1.4% more over asking price, that $500,000 equals around 507, 508. And so that means that for every one that's 500, there's another one that will sell for closer to 515 and maybe higher. So you'll see that those numbers, those prices, sales prices are still very high because there just aren't a lot of houses available. So I'm hearing a lot of things about interest rate changes. I think that could still be the case going into the end of the year. So maybe the fives become still a conversation going into the end of this year, which if that's the case, that will increase demand more for the houses that are available. But the problem still is who is going to sell their houses. We're going into a time of the year that is less popular for people to sell houses. As rates go down, the difference between what someone bought a few years ago, their interest rate, and what they can get now, as it gets closer, it makes them then likely want to then move more frequently as well because they won't be feeling like they're risking as much of a cost difference between the original interest rate and the new one. So I think you'll start seeing some more houses hit the market once those rates drop as well for that reason. As we see see interest rates drop, as we see us go into the off season, I think there will be a bump in demand. But I don't necessarily think a lot of people are going to be planning to sell in this time period because it's just not a very opportune time of the year to sell. So I think that people might start planning to sell next year if rates drop, like springtime, but maybe not as much in the fall. So I think that there might still be a lower inventory, a lower amount of houses available, but there might be a bump up in demand in relation to what's typical because of those lower interest rates. So what do I think is going to happen? I think we're going to see probably about a 10% median sales price drop between now and the end of the year. So maybe that 425 number becomes more like 380, kind of close to what it was the bottom of last year. Because one of the reasons why median sales prices is higher in the springtime, not just demand, because that's one of the reasons too, but also because the styles of houses that go on the market in different times of the year often are different price ranges too. You'll see more houses in like the 4 or 5+ bedrooms that get listed in the springtime around school getting out, that kind of thing. In my experience, fewer of those types of houses in higher price ranges go up in the fall and winter time. So you'll see those median sales prices go down for that reason as well. So this does not mean that, again, if a house hits the market in the middle of September, you can lowball. Now, you can get a better deal most likely than you could in the middle of June or May. It does not mean that you have a high expectation of getting those lower offers accepted, but there is a better chance, especially of the ones that may have been sitting for 7, 10, 15 days or longer. So if any of the times of year you can get the best deal possible, it's between the end of July and really the end of the year. But even still, specifically that August, September, it's a great time to go after a house as long as you're comfortable with that interest rate. And I always tell people, make sure you're comfortable with what the payment is for the house. Because sometimes people say, well, just refinance later. Well, there's a chance that those rates might not go down and now you're still stuck with that payment. So unless you're comfortable with that risk, that gamble, I wouldn't do it because it's just, you don't know what's going to happen next. But tips I would suggest, number one, keep the amount of window you have to find your house as wide as possible, because it gives you the amount of opportunity to find the right house, because again, there just aren't as many houses being listed right now. Number two is, don't assume that the house that you want is going to go way over asking price, but be mentally prepared for the chance of that happening, because people are they're waiting for specific houses. When they hit the market, they're going to jump pretty hard, because often the houses that people are wanting aren't as frequent as they often used to be. Ask yourself, if it's a house that you like a lot, it checks a lot of boxes, good chance it'll check a lot of boxes for other people as well. So please be ready. But again, don't necessarily throw caution to the wind, because you might not need to be as aggressive as you had been before. And if you have any questions about relocating to this area, or buying in this area if you already live here, or sell, that's what I do. I love doing this. So please reach out if you have any questions about relocating or relocating in the area. Let me know. I've got my contact information in the description. You can reach out to me at any point and I'll do whatever I can to help you relocate or relocate within this area. And I will see you on the next video.